Well, for a look ahead at the Beijing Winter Games, let's bring in Andrew Billings. He's a professor and the Ronald Reagan Chair of Broadcasting at the University of Alabama. He's also the director of their sports communication program. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So first, we'll take a look back. So looking at the past 2 weeks of these summer games, given the concern going into them, what went right in Tokyo and what could or should have been handled better?
I think the Tokyo organizers did the best they could with a really bad situation. They were dealt a hand that they were not anticipating, and so there were certain things that were inevitable. We saw, I believe it was yesterday, Tokyo topped 5,000 daily cases for the first time ever. Japan topped 15,000 cases for the first time ever. So we knew that spike was coming. But if you look at what they could control, the event facilities were quality. There were no complaints there. Events ran on time. And they did their best to control major outbreaks because honestly, I think a lot of people were concerned that we could have entire teams eliminated via contact tracing. And for the most part, the worst case scenario for a lot of these events did not happen. Bottom line, though, this was not the games that Tokyo was planning on hosting. Far from it.
Right.
And certainly of the mindset that if they wished to host again sometime in the fairly immediate future, that they would honor that request so Tokyo could get to host the games as they originally intended.
So then with those lessons in mind, now looking ahead just 6 months to the Winter Games, COVID will still undoubtedly be an issue, especially as the Delta variant spreads globally. What should officials in Beijing and the IOC do?
There's some things, once again, they won't be able to control, but there's also some elements of the Winter Games that will work in their favor. For instance, right now in Tokyo, we have roughly 11,000 athletes. They likely won't even hit 3,000 for the Winter Games. So you're looking at about a quarter of the athletes that you'll have to work with in the Olympic Village, things like that. The other thing that could work in Beijing's favor is the fact that all but 3 disciplines are outdoors, where obviously it's much safer to be in terms of contact with COVID-19. So other than figure skating, hockey, and curling, everything else is outdoors, and they have a little bit more flexibility or a little bit more safety with that there.
And we do know that China, after the initial outbreak of COVID in Wuhan, has been very strict in stopping the virus, stepping up testing, certain hotspots now under lockdown with the Delta variant, etc. How will that policy come up against athletes then from over 100 countries as they descend upon these Chinese host cities?
It's a moving target. It really is. It is so hard to know, what the next variant might be or what we're looking at here. So it's very hard to be able to tell where we're going to be health-wise. If you look at it right now, if the circumstances were similar to what it is right now, I think they're still going to move forward. I still think China would consider it a great honor, especially to be the first city to host both a summer and a winter Olympic Games. And often, sometimes we'll hear about, did they economically break even? I've never heard that narrative in China. It's about something larger and about something relating to national identity that I think they could still accomplish in the Beijing Games.
Now, a lot of people were obviously hoping to travel for the Olympics. We know that the IOC said it hopes fans will be able to attend future games. Now, they may hope that, but how much of a reality do you think that perhaps might be by 2022?
It's hard to picture a full stadium. It really is. It's hard to picture full arenas. And I think you can have some things that are socially distanced in some manner, especially outdoors, and be safe. I don't know if the Chinese officials would allow that, but I think that's possible. Part of the question really comes down to, obviously, you lose some sort of epic quality to it if you don't have a full arena. And the question is, what is more problematic for people, an empty arena or one with very few people that you pan out to show? In many ways, it might be easier to have empty facilities in that regard.
Now, we know that Beijing 2008 was seen as a very successful games. Can 2022 be the same given the current global climate and ongoing issues that countries are still having with each other?
If 2008 Beijing is the benchmark, no, it's not going to hit it. Because honestly, no Winter Olympics has ever hit the pinnacle for a Summer Olympics. So I think the goal here is to really be a memorable Winter Games. Whether they can do that with crowds and things like that is going to be difficult to say, but I still would anticipate, for instance, that China's going to put on an epic opening ceremony and have a lot of the spectacle that we saw 13 years ago.
We certainly hope so. Thank you for joining us. Andrew Billings there, Executive Director of the Alabama Program in Sports Communication and the Ronald Reagan Chair of Broadcasting at the University of Alabama.